Hello everyone, I'm Bleak Carswell and welcome back to another video. Now if you had £2,400 to spend on a car, what would you get? A 10-year-old hatchback maybe? Or you could even stretch to a Mark III Mazda MX-5. Well, the owner of this car, Sam, didn't get either of those. He instead bought a Jaguar XJ. And this isn't just any old XJ, no, this is the XJR, and that means it has a 4-litre supercharged V8. Yeah, I reckon this is going to be a good video, so yeah, let's get on with it and take a close look at this big British beast. Right, so before we get into a few technical bits, I just want to stand back and try and take this car in, because wow, what a thing. In person, this thing has a profile like not much else you see on the roads these days. It's long, wide and very low. Now, obviously with this being an XJ, it kind of harps back to Jags of old, so you've got your quadruple headlight design. Like I say, that harps back to XJ40s and even back to the 70s, I think. Yeah, this is a fantastic looking car, and in person it's got a real grandeur about it. Obviously you could get your XJ in various specifications, but this being the XJR, I think is the best looking of the bunch. You've got the nice 18-inch alloy wheels there, that low roof line, and then this really long body. Like I said, this is the top spec of all of the cars you could buy, and this is the best looking in my opinion. Obviously you could get the normal 4-litre and the 3.2 below it, but I think they don't look as nice. In my opinion, they're a bit too grandad, whereas this one has a nice subtle air of gangster about it, which I think makes this car look really mean and really purposeful in the flesh. So, technical details then. Well, this is an X308, and that means it is a V8. In fact, all X308s were V8s. Prior to 1997, this being a 51 reg, you had the X300. Now on the outside, that looks pretty much identical to this. However, they were powered by a straight 6. In 1997, the range was refreshed, and they all received V8 power. Along with 8-cylinder engines, the X308 variants also received new 5-speed automatic transmissions. The 3.2 and 4-litre models got a ZF unit, whilst this, the XJR, got one from Mercedes. Now whilst I'm here, I just want to quickly mention the rust. Quite obviously the owner is aware of it, but it is worth remembering he does 12,000 miles a year in this car. It is his daily, and it also only cost him £2,400. Therefore he is more than happy to accept a few rough edges, and he's going to be using this car until it dies, or perhaps more likely until it fails an MOT thanks to the aforementioned rust. I am going to go off script slightly here. I do tend to try and stick to a script, but honestly this car in person, there is just something about it. Obviously, like I've said, it's a very traditional shaped car, but there's a real aura that it gives off of just being impressive, and it's a very grand thing to be near. I'll try to give you some of the idea of just how big it is, but it's not really working on camera. But just look at the size of it, it's absolutely vast. And the best thing about the size of it is it's just completely not made, the real estate hasn't been utilised in terms of interior space, but we'll get onto that shortly. Let's get a close look at these wheels. Big fan of these. The owner reckons they're quite rare, but I don't know enough about them to be able to tell you whether that is the case or not. Come around the back. Yeah, what a cool thing. Now I know some people don't like these because they're old fashioned, but like I say, this, the XJR model, it's alright mate. I'm moving too quickly. Like I say, some of these can look a bit old-fashioned, but I think this XJR model, it just looks really nice, really classy and really elegant. You don't really see cars like this anymore. What a thing. I'm trying to give you an idea of how short it is. Don't really know how I can do that. Well, there's a Mini. This is pretty much, in fact, this is probably lower than that Mini, isn't it? You reckon, the roofline? Oh, yeah. So that's your normal Mini, and this, a big supercharged V8 luxury saloon, has a lower roofline than that. Yeah, what a nice looking thing. And talking of nice looking things, let's take a look at that V8 power plant, which is surprisingly not covered in plastic cladding. So whilst we're under the bonnet then, what about some performance stats? Well, you've got 370 brake horsepower and 388 foot-pounds of torque. And that means the XJR is good for a 0 to 62 mile an hour time of 5.3 seconds and can go on to a top speed of 155 miles an hour. I'll do give you some driving impressions towards the end of the video, but it's safe to say that this thing is an absolute beast in a straight line. For the time being though, I reckon it's time to take a look inside the XJR. Right, so to open the boot, we just press that one there, and now in theory we come around here, press the Jaguar logo and up it comes. Now, as I mentioned, this is a vast car, but it doesn't necessarily make the most of its real estate. So like I say, big long car. However, this boot, despite looking quite large if I stand here, isn't very deep. It's a very shallow boot. I don't know if you can see, so that means it's not the most practical thing in the world. But going back to the gangster and mafia point, you probably could fit a dead body in there, although that's probably not going to help me get adverts on this video. Also, whilst we're around the back, I should probably point out parking sensors. Unfortunately, they don't work on this one. And also, this one came with a satellite navigation system and a 6 CD?
6 CD changer.
A 6 CD changer. Now the cassette is out because the owner's going to put some new CDs in it, but it's always cool to see an old sat-nav system. It's always amazing to see how badly they've aged. We did have a quick look at it, and yeah, we might have to give it a go on camera, I reckon. Right, as soon as you climb into the back of the XJ, the first thing that you'll notice is how hefty and solid the doors feel. Slightly odd point, but not all modern cars feel like that, and it kind of gives it a premium quality feel, which is nice to have. Once you're in the back though, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously it's an old car, so there isn't really anything to talk about in terms of features. You do have a 12-volt socket, which I guess is nice because you can charge stuff if you need to, if that's what you require in your old Jag. You do have ashtrays as well, and electric windows. Now in terms of space, I'm 5'11" and I do find the headroom a little bit tight. Obviously this is a very low car, as I think I pointed out in the video, and I do feel that is reflected with the low roof, with the lack of headspace in here. Knee room, however, there is more than enough, and the standout feature in here is just how comfortable the seats are. Honestly, I was surprised at how comfortable this car was to sit in. I thought my Saab was nice. This is on par with it. These seats are absolutely wonderful to sit in, and I can see why dignitaries around the world, or at least our politicians in this country for a period of time, used one of these to get about in. It's a very nice place to be, provided you're no taller than 6 foot. So as you get into the front of the XJ, the first thing you notice, or the first thing I notice, is that again, it's quite a tight place to sit. I'm 5'11", I might have mentioned that, and my head is touching this admittedly saggy headlining. If this was fixed, it wouldn't be an issue, but it's a little bit annoying right now. The cockpit vibe in here though, it kind of fits in with the fact this is the XJR, so the sporty model. It all feels fairly driver focused, and yeah, it's quite a nice place to sit really. I think perhaps if you're in one of the lower spec, more comfort orientated models, it would perhaps be nicer to have a little bit more room. So the first thing you notice is the steering wheel. Obviously it's the first thing you put your hands on. It's a very nice thing in the hand, to be honest. You have this wood effect on the top and the bottom. I don't really know what wood it is, or if it is indeed real wood, but it looks okay. It's not bright brown as you do find in some cars, so I quite like it. One thing I do find a bit peculiar though is that it is a different material to that, or at least it looks in my eyes to be a different material to that you find on the rest of the dash. A little bit odd, don't know why that is. Now there is some technology on this car, but I'll get back to that in a second. The best thing about this car is when you sit in it, you're looking out over this big long bonnet. Now, yeah, as we carry on, what else have we got in here? What's that? This is very badly scripted. Technology. Hello? Go away. I'm filming a video. Yeah, cheers. That was a very bad skit, but oh, that was hideous. We're going to keep it rolling. So that was supposed to lead me nicely into the technology, or rather the lack of, in this car. So obviously this is a 2001, so the technology in the front isn't fantastic. You've got a tape player. You do have a built-in sat-nav, which I've mentioned before. Probably the best part are useless. Tape player useless. At least you've got a CD auto changer and a radio for some more. Well, it's still relevant today. You do, as you've just seen in that rather awkward part of the video, have a phone, which surprisingly still works, but that's kind of your lot really. No, it's not. I'm lying. You have electric seats, heated seats, cruise control, and this seat is memory. You do also have a steering wheel adjustment feature, which we did try and tweak it earlier, and we think we may have broken it, so let's just gloss over that. Yeah, to be fair, for what it is, I like it in here. It's a little bit hemmed in and it's a little bit old school, but there's nothing wrong with that because this is a bit of an old school car. Talking of old school, one of the reasons Sam bought this car is because he remembers reading about them back in the day. He never thought he'd be able to afford one, but they are now at such ridiculously low prices, he just had to have one. He's now had the car for over 2 years and has done over 27,000 miles in it. Now it's not been free motoring as it has needed work to get through MOTs, but he expected that with a big old luxury motor, and despite some expense, he reckons this Jag has been his favourite car to date. Other than MOTs, has anything gone wrong? Well, a week after buying it, the water pump went, but luckily he caught it quick enough to avoid any lasting damage. And other than that, it is just the reality of stomaching an average of 22 miles per gallon. Right, first few metres in the XJR, and immediately I can feel my hair bristling on the sagging roofline. Now, my impressions from the passenger seat are that this thing is an absolute missile in a straight line, and there's a really nice supercharger whine. I do love a supercharger whine. The V8's fairly muffled, but it kind of suits the tone and the atmosphere of this car. If the engine was screaming away, it'd probably ruin the ambience a little bit, to be honest. Driving position, I've not really adjusted it because we've had a bit of a drama with the electric steering column, so I'm probably going to leave it as it is so we don't ruin the driving position for the owner of this. But yeah, when you're just driving around at normal speed, this is a very comfortable place to be, very refined, and it rides really nicely. Now I'm going to try and give it a little bit of throttle, but I'm not going to go mad because it's a very powerful car. 370 horsepower from that 4 litre V8, supercharged 4 litre V8. See there, I've just tickled the throttle slightly and we're already going much faster than we were. Well, not much faster, but a little bit faster. It does feel a bit boaty. There isn't much lean, but the seats aren't very supportive, so I'm kind of falling out of them already. Wow, there's an ease to how this thing drives though. You've got a massive bonnet out in front of you. I'm always aware there's a load of power under my right foot, and after driving this for not very long, I'm a little bit scared. Right, we'll try and give it a little bit just as we get around here then. Right, here we go. Let's give this a go. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah, gets to 60 rather quickly. And the thing is with a car like this, because it's got so much power, is it will keep on pulling. I obviously didn't keep my foot on it for awfully long there, but wow, loads of performance. So we've got a 5-speed auto in this. I think I might have mentioned it before, and it is a Merc one in this because it's an XJR opposed to the ZF, which was in the normal 4 litre. And it's pretty seamless, to be honest, in normal driving. Obviously when you give it a boot full, you do feel it kick down, but it adds to the relaxed nature of this car because we're doing, well, you're just cruising along and it's at 1,500 RPM, which is nothing really. I imagine on a motorway this thing is just absolute bliss. It's kind of like the Saab. I always relate everything to the Saab, except sorry, this is a bit more mechanically sorted and it has a damn sight more power. Yeah, I'm very impressed by this thing. I do want to try and give it a bit more throttle though, because I do want to listen to that supercharger. Let's give it a little bit here. It's just effortless. Effortless performance is always a very nice thing because the car just feels comfortable and relaxed, but at the same time it's a missile. So what we're doing now, 60, 2,000 RPM, don't know what gear I'm in, it doesn't matter, it's just a nice place to sit. Admittedly there's a bit of tyre roar, but that is because of this road surface, I'm going to say, because I've not noticed it during any other parts of this drive. So I think this is probably going to do it for this video. It's been a short look at this XJR, and as with my Alpha video, it's the same owner. I'm very thankful to him for letting me come out here and have a look and play with his cars. This is his daily, 12,000 miles a year in this XJR. I'm jealous, to be honest, and it only cost him 2,400 quid. Yes, I've been Bleat. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh yes.